Some mornings you wake, and the fog does not lift for hours. A heaviness sitting behind your eyes, as if part of you never fully surfaced. It is good to have you resting here with us. Think of the night as a series of slow tides in the brain, rising into dreaming and sinking into deep, still water, over and over until morning. Somewhere in that rhythm, there is a moment when the mind floats near the surface, and a moment when it lies far below. Waking from the wrong depth is what leaves you dragging that heaviness into the day. Which raises a quiet question you have never been taught to ask. What if the sharpness of your morning depends less on how long you sleep, and more on when, in that rising and falling, you open your eyes? You are turning inward now, watching the mind repeat its own gentle rise and fall, needing nothing at all from you but your quiet attention as it drifts. Welcome to Sleepy Science Facts. Let that question drift with us as we begin to trace where each wave of sleep truly leads. You have woken up on the wrong side of sleep before. Heavy, thick-headed, moving through fog even after a full night. That feeling has a name: sleep inertia. It is not a sign that you slept too little. It is a sign of which stage your brain was in when the alarm found it. Underneath everything we follow tonight sits one quiet question. How can you time your sleep so you always surface in the sharpest, clearest version of yourself? Sleep is not one flat state you switch off and on. It moves in waves, and where a wave leaves, you decides how the morning feels. That is where we begin. Your sleep does not run in a straight line. It cycles. Across a normal night, your brain travels through repeating loops that each last roughly 90 minutes, one after another, 5 or 6 times before dawn. Scientists call this an ultradian rhythm, a cycle shorter than a day that repeats within it. You do not feel these loops happening. You simply wake, unaware that your brain climbed and descended through several distinct stages while you lay still. The number 90 is an average, not a rule. Some people run 80-minute cycles, others closer to 110. But the pattern of rising and falling is shared by every sleeping human mind. Within each 90-minute loop, your brain passes through several separate stages, not one uniform sleep. Sleep scientists divide the night into 2 broad kingdoms. The first is NREM, meaning non-rapid eye movement, sleep. The second is REM, the stage where your eyes flick beneath closed lids and most vivid dreams arrive. NREM itself splits into 3 parts, numbered 1 through 3, each deeper than the last. So a single cycle is really a small journey, light drifting, then deeper settling, then the deepest sleep, then a rise back toward REM. The experience feels like a blank to you. The reality is a structured descent and return, repeated all night long. The first stage of sleep is barely sleep at all. NREM Stage 1 is the doorway, a light, drifting state that lasts only a few minutes as you slip from waking into rest. Your muscles loosen, your breathing slows, and your brainwaves begin to stretch and calm. This is the stage where you might feel yourself falling and jerk awake, a harmless twitch called a hypnic jerk. Woken from stage 1, most people insist they were never asleep. It is the thinnest layer of the night, easily broken, easily forgotten. The shallow water at the edge before the floor drops away beneath you. Then comes stage 2, and this is where you spend most of your night. Roughly half of all your sleep happens in NREM stage 2, a moderate depth that fills the space between drifting and true deep sleep. Here, your brain produces two odd signatures: sleep spindles, quick bursts of electrical activity, and K complexes, sudden, sharp waves. Researchers think spindles help lock in memories and shield sleep from being disturbed by small noises. Your body temperature drops and your heart rate eases. You are genuinely asleep now, further from the surface, yet still not in the deepest place your brain will go before this cycle turns. The deepest sleep has a texture unlike any other. NREM Stage 3 is called slow-wave sleep, named for the long, rolling delta waves that sweep across the brain, slower and taller than at any other time. This is the hardest stage to wake from. Roused out of it, you feel confused, clumsy, unsure of where you are. The heaviest grogginess a night can hand you. It is also the most restorative stage. Growth hormone releases, tissues repair, and the brain clears waste built up during the day. Deep sleep dominates your first cycles and fades as morning nears, which quietly shapes how each waking will feel. After the deepest sleep, your brain does something surprising. It climbs back up. Instead of staying buried, it rises out of slow-wave sleep and enters REM, where the mind becomes strangely active. Your brain waves speed up, resembling waking so closely that early researchers were stunned. Yet your body lies almost completely paralyzed, held still by the nervous system, so you cannot act out what you see. This is where dreams grow richest and longest. One full cycle is complete. Down through light and deep, then up into REM. Then it starts again, and the shape of that climb matters more than you would guess. The mix inside each cycle keeps shifting through the night. Your early cycles are heavy with deep slow-wave sleep and hold only short bursts of REM. As the night goes on, deep sleep shrinks and REM stretches longer. So your final cycles before waking are dominated by dreaming and lighter stages. This is why a dream often feels vivid right before your alarm. You are likely in a long stretch of REM. It also means the back half of your night contains far less of the heavy deep sleep that makes waking feel so leaden. The night is not uniform. It lightens as it ends. There is a reason waking from deep sleep feels so uniquely awful. When you are pulled out of slow-wave sleep, your brain does not switch fully online at once. The prefrontal cortex, the region behind your forehead that handles clear thinking, judgment, and self-control, is one of the last areas to fully reactivate. For a stretch of minutes, it lags behind the rest of your brain, still partly in the slow rhythm of deep sleep. You are awake, but the sharpest part of your mind is still catching up. That gap is the fog you feel, the reason simple decisions feel impossible in those first heavy moments. This lag has a scientific name that sounds almost gentle: sleep inertia. It is the temporary drop in alertness and performance right after waking, and it is a normal feature of every human brain, not a personal flaw. Studies measuring reaction time and memory just after waking find slower reaction times and cloudier judgment, a real dip in how sharply the mind works. The effect is strongest when you wake from deep, slow-wave sleep. So the question we opened begins to turn. Perhaps the freshness of a morning was never mostly about how many hours you logged, but about the stage your brain happened to be in when the world called you back. Sleep inertia does not vanish the instant your eyes open. For most people, it fades within 15 to 30 minutes, but a heavy dose, waking from deep sleep, or after too little rest, can leave a haze that lingers far longer, sometimes an hour or more. During this window, your thinking is slower, your mood dips, and coordination suffers. This is why the coffee you reach for first thing does little at once. The grogginess is not a lack of caffeine, but a brain still shifting gears. Understanding that the fog has a shape, a peak, and a fading edge is the first step toward learning how to wake outside its heaviest reach. In its most severe form, sleep inertia becomes something researchers call sleep drunkenness. Woken abruptly from deep, slow-wave sleep, a person can appear disoriented, speak in a confused way, and even perform actions they will not remember, all while technically awake. It usually passes within minutes, but it reveals how incomplete waking really is when the brain is torn from its deepest stage. This is not weakness or laziness. It is the physical reality of a mind caught mid-transition, some regions online and others still asleep. The same brain, woken from a lighter stage, minutes later, would have risen clear and steady instead. A chemical clock ticks quietly beneath all of this. Throughout your waking day, a molecule called adenosine builds up in your brain, and as it accumulates, you feel more and more tired. This is the pressure that makes sleep feel irresistible by night. During deep sleep, your brain clears much of that adenosine away, which is part of why deep sleep feels so restorative. But wake in the middle of that clearing, before it finishes, and lingering adenosine can add to the heaviness you feel. The timing of your waking touches not just electrical stages, but the very chemistry of tiredness itself. Now the reason for the 90-minute idea comes into focus. If a full cycle runs about 90 minutes, then the moments when your brain naturally rises toward lighter sleep and REM fall at fairly regular intervals, near the end of each loop, waking at one of those crests, in light sleep, tends to feel smooth and clear. Waking in a trough, deep in slow-wave sleep, tends to feel heavy. So instead of counting only hours, you can try counting cycles, aiming to wake at the top of a wave rather than the bottom of one. The math is simple, and its promise is a sharper morning. To count cycles, you first have to account for the time it takes to fall asleep. The moment your head hits the pillow is not the moment sleep begins. Scientists call this delay sleep onset latency. And, for a healthy adult, it averages around 10 to 20 minutes, often cited near 14. If you lie down at 11 but drift off around 11:15, your cycles start from there, not from when you set the alarm. This small gap is why simple cycle math can miss. People forget to add their falling asleep time. Honor that quarter hour, and your count of 90-minute loops lines up far more truly with your night. Here is how the counting works in practice. If you know you sleep in roughly 90-minute cycles and you want to wake at a light point, you plan your total sleep in multiples of 90 minutes. Then add your falling asleep time on top. Aiming for 5 cycles gives about 7.5 hours of sleep. 6 cycles gives about 9. The goal is to set your alarm near the end of a cycle, when your brain is already drifting upward toward light sleep, rather than in the middle of one. It is not perfect. Bodies vary, but it shifts the odds of waking toward the clear side. Sometimes, a shorter sleep can leave you feeling better than a longer one, and cycles explain why. For many people, waking after about 6 hours, 4 full cycles plus your onset time, we can feel clearer than pushing to 6 hours and 40 minutes. If that extra stretch drops you back into a deep stage, those extra 40 minutes may not help at all. They can land you back in slow wave sleep, right where waking feels worst. This is the counterintuitive heart of the idea. More sleep is not always a better morning. It is not the quantity alone but the point of exit that shapes how alert, or how leaden, you feel. The famous power nap follows the very same logic. A short nap of about 20 minutes tends to leave you refreshed because you stay in light NREM stages 1 and 2, never sinking into deep, slow-wave sleep. But let a nap stretch to 45 minutes or an hour, and you may descend into deep sleep. And waking from there brings the full weight of sleep inertia, leaving you groggier than before you lay down. The best naps are either short enough to skim the surface or long enough, around 90 minutes, to complete a whole cycle and rise naturally at the light end. Your body carries a second timekeeper, and it works alongside the cycles. Deep in the brain sits your circadian clock, a roughly 24-hour rhythm tuned by light and darkness that governs when you feel sleepy and when you feel alert. It releases the hormone melatonin as night falls and eases it back as morning light arrives. This clock is why waking against your natural rhythm, in the dark, hours before your body expected dawn, deepens the fog. The circadian drive and the 90-minute cycles are two systems layered together, and a truly clear morning comes when your waking honors both at once. Two separate forces decide how sleepy you feel at any moment, and scientists give them plain names. The homeostatic drive is the pressure that builds the longer you stay awake, the rising adenosine, the growing need. The circadian drive is the clock's daily swing, pushing you toward alertness by day and rest by night. Sleep feels deepest and most needed when both forces align to say, rest. And waking feels easiest when both have begun to lift together toward morning. The 90-minute cycle rides on top of these two tides. So, timing your wake to the cycle works best when the larger rhythms already favor rising. Not everyone's clock is set the same, and this is your chronotype. Some people are naturally early, larks, whose bodies push them toward early sleep and early, easy waking. Others are night owls, whose internal clock runs later, making early mornings a genuine biological struggle rather than a matter of willpower. Chronotype is largely written into your genes and shifts across your life, running later in the teenage years and earlier in old age. It shapes when your cycles begin and when your natural light sleep windows fall. Understanding your own type is part of learning when your body would most gladly be woken. Waking at the same time every day, cycles and all, quietly trains your brain. When you keep a steady rise time, your body learns to anticipate it, nudging you toward lighter sleep as that hour approaches. So the alarm meets you, already climbing rather than buried deep. This is why a consistent schedule can matter more than any single clever calculation. The regularity itself teaches your internal systems where the finish line sits each night. Over time, some people begin to wake moments before the alarm, gently, at the light crest of a cycle, the body having learned, without instruction, exactly when the morning would ask it to rise. There is a natural surge that prepares your body to wake, and timing your rise to meet it feels effortless. In the hour or so before your usual waking time, your brain begins releasing cortisol, a hormone that lifts alertness and readies you for the day. This is the cortisol awakening response, and it climbs whether or not an alarm sounds. Waking as this rise crests, at the light end of a cycle, with cortisol already lifting you, feels smooth and natural. Waking hours earlier, against this rise and out of deep sleep, fights the very chemistry meant to ease you into the day. The body has its own gentle alarm. The art is meeting it. Wearable trackers now try to find these light moments for you, and it helps to know what they truly measure. Smart alarms on watches and phones watch for signs of light sleep, small movements, shifts in heart rate, within a window before your set time, then wake you at the lightest point they detect. They cannot read your brainwaves directly the way a sleep lab can burr, so their guesses are rough. But even a rough estimate that avoids the deepest stage can spare you the worst of the fog. The tools are imperfect mirrors of the science, yet the picture we opened with begins to shift. They lean on the same simple truth that the stage of waking shapes the morning. So the whole first stretch of the night comes down to a single reframing. You have spent your life measuring sleep by its length. Did I get my 8 hours? But the deep sleep grogginess that ruins a morning does not care about your total. It cares only about the wave you were riding when you woke. A shorter sleep, ending at a light crest, can leave you clearer than a longer one cut off in the depths. The question we opened is sharpening. The sharpest, most alert waking may not be something you earn with more hours, but something you catch by rising at the right moment in the wave. Notice how your own breathing has stretched a little longer since we began. The same slow settling your brain moves through as it drifts down through its early stages tonight. The wave you just heard about is rising and falling in you right now, without a single instruction from you. We started by asking how to wake in the clearest state, and the shape of the answer is beginning to show. It was never mostly about the hours. Let that thought rest lightly. There is nothing here to solve. Let one long breath go, and we drift on together toward what these cycles are really doing beneath the surface. If this slow unwinding is doing its quiet work, you might let this channel stay with you on other nights like this. A gentle place to return to, whenever the mind needs to soften and the body needs to rest. No rush, no effort. Just settle back in and let the next stretch carry you deeper. Your morning alertness is set in motion before you open your eyes by a hormone called cortisol. In the last stretch of sleep, your adrenal glands release a sharp pulse of it, peaking within about 30 minutes of waking. Scientists call this the cortisol awakening response, and it is one of the strongest signals your body sends each day. It raises your blood sugar, sharpens your focus, and lifts your body out of its resting state. When you wake near the end of a cycle, this pulse lines up with light sleep, and the rise feels smooth instead of jarring. Light is the single most powerful signal for waking, and it works through a cell type most people never hear about. Deep in your retina sit specialized neurons that do not help you see images at all. Instead, they measure raw brightness, especially the blue tones of morning sky. When light strikes them, they send word straight to the master clock in your brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. That message halts the making of sleep hormones and tells your whole body the night is over. This is why morning light clears grogginess faster than almost anything else you can try. The hormone that carries you into sleep must first step aside before you can feel awake. Melatonin, made by the pineal gland, rises in darkness and quietly winds down your systems for rest. but its release does not stop the instant you wake. In the groggy minutes after an early alarm, melatonin can still be circulating, gently pulling you back towards sleep. Bright morning light is what shuts it down. When you wake in step with your cycle and greet the light, melatonin fades on schedule, and the pull toward the pillow releases its hold on you. Your body runs on a temperature rhythm that rises and falls across the day, and waking sits at its lowest point. Core body temperature bottoms out about 2 hours before your natural wake time. Then begins a slow climb. That climb is part of what lifts you toward alertness. When an alarm drags you awake before the low point has passed, your body is still cooling and slowing, and the heaviness you feel is partly that mismatch. Waking, as your temperature starts rising, near the end of a cycle, means your own biology is already carrying you upward toward the day. During lighter sleep, your brain produces brief bursts of activity called sleep spindles, quick flurries lasting about a second. They appear in stage 2 sleep, the stage you pass through many times each night and often wake from. Researchers believe spindles help protect sleep by muffling outside sounds, and they play a role in locking new memories into place. When you wake from a stage rich in spindles, your brain is in a light, nimble state, close to the surface. Rising from here feels clean, because you were never buried deep in the slow waves of the night. Alongside spindles, your sleeping brain fires off large, sudden waves called K-complexes. A K-complex is a single sharp spike, the biggest event a healthy sleeping brain produces, and it often appears right after a small disturbance. Scientists think it does 2 opposite jobs at once. It can suppress a noise so you stay asleep, or it can nudge you toward waking if the signal matters. This built-in gatekeeper shows how lightly stage 2 sleep guards the door. Wake during this stage, riding these small surges, and the return to the day feels like stepping up rather than climbing out. An alarm does its damage not by being loud, but by ignoring where you are in your cycle. If it rings while you are deep in slow-wave sleep, it yanks your brain from its heaviest, most disconnected state straight into waking. The gap between those 2 states is enormous, and your brain cannot cross it cleanly. The result is sleep inertia, that thick fog of confusion and heaviness. The same alarm, sounding a few minutes later during light sleep, would barely register as a jolt. Timing, not volume, decides whether waking feels like a rescue or a wrench. The snooze button feels like a gift, but it quietly works against you. When you drift back to sleep after the first alarm, your brain often sinks toward a new cycle. The second alarm then interrupts that fresh descent, catching you in a deeper stage than before. Each round leaves you more scrambled, not more rested, because the fragments of sleep are too short to complete anything useful. Sleep scientists call this pattern sleep fragmentation. Those extra minutes cost you clarity rather than buying it. which is why serial snoozing so often leads to the foggiest, heaviest mornings. Caffeine wakes you by wearing a disguise. All day, a molecule called adenosine builds up in your brain, and the more it gathers, the sleepier you feel. Caffeine has almost the same shape, so it slips into the docking sites meant for adenosine and blocks them. Your brain stops receiving the sleepiness signal, even though the adenosine is still there. This is why caffeine borrows alertness rather than creating it. Once caffeine clears, the waiting adenosine floods back in, which is part of why a mid-morning coffee can feel like it lifts the last of the fog. There is a smarter window for that first cup than the moment you wake. Because your cortisol awakening response already peaks in the first half hour, adding caffeine right then stacks one alert signal on top of another and can blunt the drug's effect over time. Many sleep researchers suggest waiting until cortisol begins to dip, roughly an hour or two after rising. By then, the natural lift is fading, and caffeine fills the gap instead of competing with it. Timed this way, a single cup does more work, and you lean on it less across the day. The real danger of a nap is not its length alone, but the middle ground it can strand you in. Stay near 20 minutes, and you skim the surface. Rising clear, run all the way to about 90, and you complete a whole cycle and surface near light sleep again. The trap sits between them, around 45 minutes, where the alarm is most likely to catch you at your deepest and drop you into heavy grogginess. Both a short skim and a full cycle can leave you sharp. It is the unfinished descent in the middle that turns a nap against you. The naps that leave you foggy do so through the same mechanism that ruins early mornings. Sleep inertia. When a nap runs long enough to pull you into slow-wave sleep, but ends before the cycle finishes, you wake mid-descent. In the heaviest stage, your brain needs time to reboot from there, and for a stretch of minutes, your thinking is slow and clumsy. This is why some people wake from an afternoon nap feeling worse than before. It is not the nap itself that harms you. It is waking at the wrong point inside it. Your last cycles before waking carry far more dreaming than your first. Early in the night, cycles are heavy with deep, slow-wave sleep, the kind that restores the body. As the night goes on, the balance shifts, and the dream-rich stage called REM grows longer with each cycle. By morning, a single cycle can hold a long stretch of REM near its end. This is why you so often wake mid-dream, and why the final stretch of sleep feels mentally busy. Waking at the natural close of one of these REM-heavy cycles tends to feel light, because REM sleep sits close to the surface. Missed sleep does not simply vanish. Your body keeps a running tab called sleep debt. Each night, you fall short. The shortfall accumulates, and the pressure to sleep grows heavier. Under heavy debt, your brain plunges faster and deeper into slow-wave sleep to recover what it lost. That deeper dive makes an early alarm land even heavier, because it is far more likely to strike while you are buried in the heaviest stage. So sleep debt does not only leave you tired, it quietly loads the odds toward the very grogginess you are trying to escape each morning. There is a stretch late in the day when sleep becomes almost impossible, and it is no accident. Your internal clock creates a wake maintenance zone, a window of an hour or two in the evening when it actively pushes alertness to its daily peak. It exists to hold you awake against the mounting pressure of adenosine, keeping you steady until true bedtime arrives. What all of tonight's machinery keeps revealing is this: the same clock that decides when you cannot sleep also decides how you will wake. Your morning was never really about the number of hours. It has always been about which door your brain opens on the way out. Notice how much lighter your mind already feels than it did an hour ago. No fog, no weight, just this slow drift. The very heaviness we've been tracing is the thing loosening in you right now, one quiet cycle at a time. You may have noticed that the 90-minute number never quite fits you, and that is because it was only ever an average. Sleep researchers find that a full cycle can run anywhere from about 80 to 120 minutes, and the length is fairly personal, shaped by your own brain, your age, and your genes. Someone on a short cycle passes through the same stages faster, so their sharp waking windows arrive earlier and closer together. The rule is real, but the exact clock is yours alone. Your body has been keeping a private version of that rhythm long before anyone tried to name it. Even within a single night, your cycles are not identical, copies stamped one after another. Studies of overnight brain recordings show the early cycles lean heavily toward deep, slow-wave sleep, while the later ones stretch longer and fill mostly with dreaming. So a cycle near dawn can run noticeably longer than one just after you drifted off, and it carries a very different mix inside it. The rising and falling you feel is not a metronome, but a slow, shifting curve. Your brain quietly rebalances what it needs as the hours pass, without ever asking you to keep track. Because deep sleep is loaded so heavily into the first part of the night, the beginning of your sleep is the hardest place to wake gently. Research on slow-wave sleep shows the first cycle or two hold the largest share of it, when your body repairs tissue and your brain clears its channels most intensely. An alarm ringing in that window pulls you from the deepest water of the whole night, and the fog that follows can be severe. This is why a short nap at the wrong time, or a jolt awake soon after falling asleep, leaves you feeling worse than before you closed your eyes. The wristband that promises to score your deep sleep is making a careful guess, not a direct reading. The true measure of sleep stages is called polysomnography. It tracks brain waves, eye movements, and muscle tone with sensors on the scalp. A wearable sees only your pulse, your motion, and sometimes your skin temperature. Then a formula infers the rest. Careful comparisons find these devices are fairly good at telling sleep from waking, but far shakier at separating light, deep, and dreaming sleep. The kind mind here simply notices this. The number on the screen is a shadow of the night, not the night itself. A smart alarm listens for that shadow and tries to wake you at a shallow moment inside a window you choose. Set for a 30-minute range before your deadline. It watches your movement and heart rate and fires when it believes you are near the surface. The idea rests on solid ground, since waking from light sleep really is gentler. Yet the same stage detection weakness limits it, so it may nudge you at a fair moment rather than a perfect one. Still, many people find that softer landing kinder than a fixed buzzer. Even an imperfect guess at your rhythm can be gentler than none at all. There is a reason the loveliest mornings are the ones no alarm interrupts. When you wake on your own, you almost always surface at the natural end of a cycle, in light sleep. As the brain drifts up toward waking of its own accord, sleep scientists link this to a quiet rise in the stress hormone cortisol in the last hour before dawn, gently lifting you toward alertness. The body was built to wake this way, easing upward rather than being yanked. That heaviness you carry on hard mornings is not a flaw in you. It is only the cost of being pulled up from the wrong depth. If you want to wake naturally more often, the strongest lever is not the alarm but the clock inside you. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm, a near 24-hour cycle that decides when melatonin rises and when your temperature dips toward its nightly low. Research on regular sleepers shows that going to bed and waking at steady times trains this inner clock to line your cycles up with your morning. So you tend to finish a cycle right when you need to rise. Consistency is quiet, unglamorous work, and it asks the same small thing of you each night. The reward is a body that begins to meet the morning halfway. This is where the question we opened begins to turn. We started by asking whether the sharpness of your morning depends on when you wake rather than how long you sleep. The evidence keeps pointing the same way. It is less about hunting for a perfect alarm time and more about a rhythm steady enough that the right moment finds you. The timing you have been chasing may not be something to catch in the dark. It may be something you build one ordinary, repeated night at a time, until waking well stops being luck. Then the weekend arrives, and many of us quietly undo the very rhythm we spent the week building. Sleeping in on Saturday and Sunday shifts your inner clock later, and researchers call the gap between your weekday and weekend timing social jet lag. Come Monday, your body is running on a different time zone than your alarm, so you wake mid-cycle, groggy, as if you had flown east overnight. Studies link larger gaps to worse mood and daytime fog. The clock inside you does not know it is the weekend. It only feels the sudden lurch, and it makes you pay for it on Monday morning. Light is the gentlest hand you can lay on that clock, and a dawn simulator uses it on purpose. Instead of sound, The lamp brightens slowly over the half hour before your rise time, mimicking a sunrise your bedroom may never see. Light is the master signal your circadian system reads, and a growing glow, reaching your closed eyes, begins easing you upward through the lightest stages. Trials find people who use them report feeling more alert and less groggy on rising. What the night has been showing, fact by fact, is quiet and steady. Morning quality was never about the hours you banked. It was always about the stage you rose from. You just heard how even the cleverest alarm can only guess at the surface of your sleep, reaching for a moment it cannot quite see. Notice how much of this you have been trying to manage from the outside, as if the right morning had to be engineered. Feel where that effort sits in you right now, and let it soften. There is nothing here to solve tonight. The rhythm rising and falling in you, and the deeper half of this hour leans further into letting it. Let one slow breath go, and drift on with it. During deep sleep, your brain runs a nightly washing cycle called the glymphatic system. Fluid moves through narrow channels around your brain cells and carries away waste that built up during the day. This clearing works far better in deep, slow-wave sleep than when you are awake. If you wake yourself in the middle of a deep stage, you cut this cleaning short before it finishes. The waste does not simply vanish on its own. It waits for the next deep stretch, and the housekeeping quietly picks up where it left off, night after night. One of the things deep sleep clears away is a protein called beta amyloid. When you sleep deeply, the spaces between your brain cells widen, and fluid flushes this protein out more easily. Research has found that even a single night of poor sleep can leave more of it behind. Cutting deep sleep short, again and again, means the cleanup keeps falling behind. This is not a flaw in you. It is the same maintenance schedule running inside every sleeping human head. Waking groggy after too little deep sleep is not laziness, and it is not weakness. When a cycle is broken partway through, the clearing and repair that stage was doing gets interrupted, and your brain notices. That heavy, thick feeling in the morning is the sign of unfinished work, not a fault in how disciplined you are. Millions of people feel it and quietly blame themselves. But the mechanism is shared by everyone. Your morning fog is a message about timing, not a verdict about who you are. Memory does much of its filing while you sleep, not while you study. During the night, your brain replays the day and moves fragile new memories into more stable, long-term storage. Deep NREM sleep helps lock in facts and events, while REM sleep weaves them together and links them to what you already know. Both stages matter, and they take turns across the night. This sorting is happening quietly, without any effort on your part. You do not have to try to remember. The night does that part of the work for you. This is why cutting sleep short can quietly cost you the very thing you stayed up trying to finish. If you skip the later cycles, you skip much of the REM sleep that connects ideas and smooths out emotions. The information may still be there, but the links between pieces stay weak. Morning recall feels patchy, and you reach for a name or a step that will not come. Every mind depends on this stitching. When the night is cut off, everyone's recall frays in the same predictable way. Your first deep sleep cycle carries a special job that later ones do not tap. Within the first hour or so of sleep, your body releases its largest pulse of growth hormone during that early deep stage. This hormone repairs tissue, supports muscle, and helps the body recover from the day. If you delay, sleep, or wake, and cut that first cycle short, you shrink the window for that pulse. The timing is built in, not chosen. This early repair runs on its own quiet clock, asking nothing of you but the chance to happen. Sleep inertia is the technical name for that thick, slow feeling right after waking. For a stretch of time after you open your eyes, parts of your brain are still partly in sleep mode. Blood flow to the front of the brain, the part that plans and decides, takes a while to fully return. During this window, your thinking is genuinely slower and cloudier. This is not imagined. It is a measurable state that every brain passes through, and understanding it is the first step toward waking on the far side of it instead. Sleep inertia measurably weakens decision-making right after you wake. In the first minutes out of sleep, reaction time slows, judgment dips, and simple choices take longer. In some studies, the performance in this window has measured worse than after a night without sleep. That is a striking finding, because it means the fog is not trivial. It is a real dip in how sharply the brain works, and it lands on everyone the same way, which is why waking at the right moment in a cycle matters more than most people ever realize. This is why the moment you wake in the cycle shapes the whole morning that follows. Wake during light sleep, when your brain is already close to the surface, and inertia is brief and gentle. Wake during deep sleep, pulled up from far below, and the fog is heavier and lasts longer. Same total hours, very different mornings. The difference is not willpower or coffee. It is which stage your alarm interrupts. And that single fact decides more about your morning than any amount of effort could. Sleep inertia is not just a personal inconvenience. It is why a driver waking from a nap is wise to sit a moment before pulling away, and why night shift workers are given a little time to shake off the fog before the work asks anything sharp of them. The transition out of deep sleep takes a few minutes to finish. No matter who you are, the lesson is not to fear sleep, only to respect the slow door out of it. Waking at the right point in a cycle softens this window for everyone alike. Shift work collides with the body's cycle timing in a hard way. Your internal clock still wants deep sleep at night and alertness by day. no matter what your schedule demands. A night shift worker forced awake mid-afternoon is often pulled straight out of deep sleep into a long, heavy fog. This is not a sign you are unfit for the work. It is the predictable result of fighting a clock every body carries. Naming the mechanism helps replace self-blame with a plan that works with the cycles instead of against them. Grogginess and true tiredness are not the same thing, and telling them apart matters. Grogginess is sleep inertia, the temporary fog of a brain still switching on, and it fades within minutes to perhaps half an hour. True tiredness is a deeper signal that you have not had enough total sleep, and it lingers through the day. Many people feel morning fog, decide they are exhausted, and lose faith in their whole night. Often, they simply woke at the wrong point. The fog was passing. The night may have been fine. Body temperature is one of the quiet cues that helps you wake well. In the last stretch of a healthy night, your core temperature begins to rise, part of your body's natural preparation for morning. This gentle warming nudges you toward lighter sleep and easier waking. When you fight your clock and wake while your temperature is still low, your body has not finished getting ready, and the fog is deeper. This rhythm runs inside everyone. Working with it, rather than against it, is part of what makes some mornings feel effortless. Light is the strongest signal your brain uses to know it is time to wake. Special cells in your eyes sense brightness and send that news straight to your internal clock, which then eases back the sleep-promoting chemistry. Morning light, especially, tells your whole system that the night is over. This is why a dark room can leave you groggy long after your alarm, while opening a curtain can lift the fog faster than you expect. Every human brain reads light this way. It is one of the oldest wake signals we carry. Piece by piece, a single idea has been taking shape across these facts. The quality of your morning is being decided long before your alarm, by which stage you are in when you surface. The clearing, the memory filing, the hormone pulse, the temperature rise, the light cue, the inertia window, all of it turns on timing. The question we opened, how to wake at your sharpest, is quietly answering itself, not by adding hours, but by choosing the moment. What lands next carries a different weight than the facts before it. Cold water on the face is one of the fastest ways to cut through morning fog. Cold touching your skin triggers a quick, mild, alerting response, nudging your heart rate and raising your sense of wakefulness. It does not shorten how much sleep you needed, and it cannot replace a good night. But in that fragile inertia window, it can help pull the front of your brain back online sooner. This trick works because the response it triggers is built into every body. You are not forcing yourself awake. You are working with reflexes you already own. Movement clears sleep inertia faster than sitting still and waiting. Standing up, stretching, or walking a short distance raises blood flow and body temperature, both of which help wake the brain. Even a few minutes of gentle motion can shorten the fog. This is why lying in bed scrolling often keeps you groggy longer than simply getting up. The body was designed to shake off sleep through motion, the way it has for a very long time. That impulse to move in the morning is not restlessness. It is your own system trying to help you. When you eat in the morning, also speaks to your internal clock. A meal not long after waking acts as a signal that the day has truly begun, helping your rhythms settle into their daytime pattern. Regular breakfast timing, day after day, gives the clock a steady anchor to align with. This does not mean any single skipped breakfast will ruin a morning. It means the pattern, over time, either supports your rhythm or leaves it drifting. The body reads these cues the same way in everyone, quietly tuning itself to the shape of your days. Caffeine does not erase sleep inertia, though it feels like it does. A morning drink can mask the fog by blocking the chemistry that makes you feel sleepy, but the underlying inertia still runs its course underneath. If you woke deep in a cycle, caffeine covers the feeling without truly resolving the transition. This is worth knowing because it explains why some mornings still feel off, even with a full cup. The fog was never really about willpower or the right drink. It was about the moment you were pulled from, shared by every groggy morning, everywhere. A short nap can either refresh you or leave you worse, and timing is the whole difference. A nap of about 20 minutes keeps you in light sleep, so you wake easily and clear-headed. A longer nap drops you into deep sleep, and if your alarm pulls you out of it, you surface into a thick fog. Nap. Opposite result, decided by which stage you interrupt. This is the 90-minute rule in miniature, playing out in the afternoon. The mechanism does not change between day and night. It belongs to every sleeping brain. Waking naturally, without an alarm, tends to feel lighter for a simple reason. Left to itself, your body often surfaces at the end of a cycle, in light sleep, right when waking is easiest. An alarm, by contrast, fires at a fixed clock time and does not care which stage you are in. This is why some mornings you wake a minute before the alarm, already clear. Your body found the seam between cycles on its own. That skill is not rare or special. Every sleeper's body reaches for that gentle exit when it can. This is why aligning your wake time with your cycles can protect your mood, not just your alertness. Waking mid-deep sleep floods the morning with fog, and that fog colors how you feel about the day, the tasks ahead, even yourself. Waking at the end of a cycle, clear and steady, gives your mood a calmer starting point. The emotional processing that REM sleep does across the night also depends on not cutting those later cycles short. A well-timed wake is quietly a kindness to the person you will be all day. Notice that none of this asks you to try harder. The clearing, the filing, the repair, the temperature rise, the light cue, they all run on their own, inside every sleeping body, without permission or effort. Your only real task is to give them room by choosing when to wake. The heavy mornings you may have blamed yourself for were rarely about discipline. They were about timing, a thing you can work with rather than fight. That shift from blame to timing is where the whole picture has been quietly leading. Even the number 90 is a gentle average, not a strict law, and knowing that eases the pressure. Cycles run roughly 90 minutes, but they stretch and shrink through the night and differ from person to person. Early cycles hold more deep sleep, later ones more REM. So the goal is not to hit a perfect number, but to aim for the light seams between cycles and let your own body do the fine-tuning. This flexibility lives in everyone. The rule is a guide toward easier mornings. Never one more thing to get exactly right. Feel how the whole night has been working while you did nothing to command it. The clearing moved through. The memories settled into place. The body warmed toward morning, and not one of those things waited for your effort. Right now, something similar is loosening in you. The day's weight sinking quietly out of reach. You do not have to earn a clear morning. You only have to let the cycles finish. What all of this has been circling is very close now, and it asks nothing of you but stillness. Here is what these hours have been showing, piece by piece. Your morning does not depend on how many hours you slept, but on which stage of the cycle you wake within. Two people can sleep the same length and meet the day utterly differently, because one surfaced from light sleep and the other was torn from the deep. The clearing, the filing, the repair, all finish at their own pace, and the moment you rise decides how much of that work you carry forward. Sharpness was never about more sleep. It was always about better timing. You can build a wake-up time that fits your own sleep instead of fighting it. Start from when you plan to fall asleep. Add about 14 minutes for drifting off. Then stack 90-minute blocks on top. 4 blocks land you 6 hours later. 5 blocks land you 7.5. Aim your alarm at the end of a block, not the middle. Your body has been keeping this schedule for you all along. Those 90-minute blocks are not a rigid clock ticking underneath you. In real nights, a cycle can run as short as 70 minutes or stretch past 2 hours, shifting with your age, your stress, and how tired you already were. So the formula is a gentle map, not a law. You are learning the shape of your own rhythm, and the shape was always there, quietly waiting for you to notice it. Falling asleep is not instant, and pretending it is throws the whole plan off. Most healthy sleepers need roughly 10 to 20 minutes to cross from waking into the first stage of sleep. Sleep scientists call this stretch sleep latency. If you set your alarm counting from the moment your head hits the pillow, you land early, mid-cycle. Adding that quiet cushion is simply being honest about how long the door takes to open. 7.5 hours can leave you sharper than a full 8. It sounds backward, yet the reason is simple. 7.5 hours is 5 clean 90-minute cycles. Ending near light sleep, where waking is easy. 8 hours drops you 30 minutes into a 6th cycle, often deep in slow-wave sleep, the worst place to be pulled from. The extra half hour costs you the clarity you are chasing. The heavy, drugged feeling of a bad waking has a name, and naming it helps. Researchers call it sleep inertia, the lag between your alarm and your brain fully coming online. It can linger from a few minutes to over half an hour, and it is worst when you surface from deep sleep. It is not weakness, and it is not a sign your body failed you. It is only a brain finishing a stage it was in the middle of. During deep, slow-wave sleep, large regions of your brain move together in long, sweeping electrical waves. Waking, then, means dragging all of that activity back into ordinary alertness at once, and the transition is slow and clumsy. Wake instead from lighter sleep, and the brain is already halfway to the surface. The difference you feel in the morning is really the difference between these two starting points, not the number of hours behind them. Life will break your careful plan, and the plan can survive that. A late night, a crying child, a shifted alarm, and the neat stack of cycles collapses. On those nights, aim for the nearest cycle boundary you can reach rather than a perfect count. Waking at the end of 4 rough cycles often feels kinder than chasing a 5th you cannot complete. Flexibility, not precision, is what keeps this useful over a real, unpredictable life. A 20-minute nap and a 90-minute nap follow the same logic your night does. 20 minutes keeps you in light sleep, so you wake clear. Cross into deep sleep around the 30 to 60-minute mark, and you wake foggy and worse than before. Sleep a full 90 minutes, and you complete 1 whole cycle, surfacing near the top again. The rule that governs your night quietly governs your afternoon too. Your morning light does more than the alarm ever could. When sunlight reaches your eyes, it signals a small cluster of cells deep in your brain that anchors your internal clock and eases the last of the fog. Stepping outside soon after waking, even on a grey day, sharpens the timing of your cycles, night after night. The sun has been resetting, living things this way for as long as there have been eyes to catch it. Consistency is quietly more powerful than any single perfect night. Going to bed and rising at close to the same time trains your cycles to line up. So waking near a boundary starts happening on its own. After a couple of weeks, your body begins surfacing toward morning before the alarm even sounds. You are not forcing the rhythm into place. You are letting a rhythm that already lives in you find its footing. Small timing gains stack up in ways a single night can hide. Wake a little sharper on Monday, and the day runs smoother. So, bedtime comes easier. So Tuesday starts steadier still. Over weeks, this loop compounds. Mood and focus and rest, all lifting together by degrees too small to notice day to day. The night is not just resting you. It is slowly, patiently teaching the next night how to go better. Weekend sleep-ins feel like a gift and quietly cost you one. Sleeping hours later, on Saturday, shoves your internal clock backward. So Sunday night, your body is not ready to sleep on time. Researchers sometimes call the Monday grogginess that follows social jet lag. Keeping your wake time steady, even by an hour, protects the cycle alignment you spent all week building. Rest can be generous without undoing itself. Caffeine is a small helper, not the thing holding you upright. A morning coffee blocks the chemical signal of tiredness, but it works best after good timing has already done the real work, filling in the last edge of fog, rather than carrying the whole morning. Lean on the stage you woke from first, and let the cup come second. The clearest mornings are built from waking well, with caffeine as a gentle finishing touch on top. You do not have to track any of this consciously for it to work. Your brainstem and internal clock run these cycles, whether you count them or not, night after night, with no effort from you. The formula is only a way of stepping into a machinery that was already turning. Understanding it does not add a chore to your life. It hands back a rhythm your body has been keeping faithfully since before you could name it. Here is what these nights have quietly been showing, piece by piece. The quality of your morning was never mainly a question of how many hours you banked. It rests on which stage of the rising and falling you happen to open your eyes in. That is why two people with the same 8 hours wake into different mornings, and why the same mind that felt broken at dawn was only pulled from the wrong depth. Knowing this changes how you treat a rough morning. When the fog comes anyway, you can recognize it as a stage you were caught inside, not a verdict on your character or your discipline. The heaviness will lift as the transition finishes, usually within half an hour. You are not failing at rest. You are a brain completing a wave, and the wave, like every wave before it, is already on its way out. Perfect optimization is a trap worth stepping out of. You could measure and tune every night and still meet the occasional groggy morning, because bodies are not machines and cycles drift. Chasing flawlessness turns rest into one more task to pass or fail. The gentler aim is a rhythm that is good enough most nights, held loosely, forgiven often. Sleep was never meant to be another place you had to earn your keep. Bad nights are part of the pattern, not a break in it. Illness, worry, a hard day, and your cycles bend out of shape for a while. Your body treats this as ordinary and simply rebalances over the following nights, often deepening its slow-wave sleep to recover what it missed. You do not have to fix a single bad night. You only have to let the built-in repair run, the way it always has. Self-compassion, it turns out, has a physical payoff here. Lying awake, angry at yourself for not sleeping, raises the very alertness that keeps you awake, stretching your latency and shoving your cycles later. Meeting a restless night with patience does the opposite, letting your body slide towards sleep on its own timing. Kindness is not only comfort tonight, it is, quietly, part of the mechanism that carries you down into rest. Every person who has ever lived ran these same cycles in the dark. The 90-minute rhythm, the deep waves, the light surfacing near dawn belong to the whole species, not to you alone. The stranger asleep across the city is rising and falling on the same tide you are. What can feel like a private struggle with your own mornings is one of the most shared experiences there is. The plan matters less than the trust it teaches. Once you understand that your body is already timing these waves, the alarm stops being a battle and becomes a small nudge in a rhythm that was carrying you anyway. You can loosen your grip on the counting. The cycles do not need your supervision to continue. They kept perfect time long before you learned the numbers, and they will keep it long after you forget them. There is real relief in letting the body lead. You spend your days deciding, planning, holding things together, and sleep is the one place where the wisest move is to stop steering. The rise and fall does not consult you. It does not wait for your permission or your effort. Tonight, you can hand the whole rhythm back to the part of you that has always known how to fall, and let it. Notice how little the perfect number matters once you feel this. Whether tonight gives you 4 cycles or 5, whether you wake exactly on a boundary or a few minutes off, the tide will still carry you and return you. The formula was only ever a way of befriending something automatic. You are not managing your sleep. You are being held by it, the way you have been every night of your life, without once being asked to try. Somewhere in your brain, right now, the machinery for tonight is already preparing. The clock cells are reading the fading light. The chemistry that will pull you under is quietly gathering. The first cycle is waiting at the edge of your waking, like a wave drawn back before it falls. Nothing about it asks anything of you. You do not have to build the tide. You only have to lie back and let it come in. So let the counting fall away tonight. The sharpness you were chasing was never something you had to earn with a perfect plan or a flawless number of hours. It was always waiting inside the rise and fall your body has kept faithfully since your very first night. You do not have to time it right to be carried well. You were allowed to stop steering, close your eyes, and trust the tide that has never once let you go. The rhythm we followed all night comes to rest here, at the edge of your own sleep. Somewhere along the way, you learned that 7.5 hours can leave you clearer than 8. Because 5 whole cycles end near the surface where waking is soft. You learned that the heavy morning fog has a name and an ending. A stage you were caught inside, rather than a fault in you. What began as a question about hours became something simpler and kinder. It was never the length of the night that shaped your morning, but the depth you happened to rise from. You carry one quiet thing out of this hour that you did not bring in. Your mornings were never a measure of your worth or your discipline. They were only a matter of which wave you woke inside. And that is something the body already knows how to do. If tracing these tides has loosened something in you tonight, you might let this hour return on the evenings, when your mind will not slow down. It seems to find the people who lie awake, counting hours. They think they have lost. And it may reach someone you know, who wakes each morning feeling that something is wrong with them. Leaving it open where it can find them is a quiet kindness. However you found your way here, I am grateful you came. Picture the mind as a wide, dark tide, rising toward the surface and sinking again, slow and unforced, the way it has every night you have ever lived. That same rising and falling is beginning in you now, the first wave already drawing back to gather itself. Let your whole body settle into that motion. Let every hour you counted and every morning you feared dissolve into the slow water, and let yourself be carried, needing nothing, timing nothing, held by a rhythm that was never yours to manage. The tide is turning inward now, and there is nowhere it needs you to go. Feel your breath lengthen on its own, each one a little slower than the last, drawing you gently down beneath the surface. Let the sinking take you the way it always has, into the first quiet wave of the night. No alarm to sit, no cycle to count. The Sleepy Science Facts playlist has been tracing the hidden rhythms that carry you through the dark, and the next video follows this tide a little further down. That video is waiting whenever you are ready. And if your eyes are already closed, let them stay that way, resting exactly where the darkness feels soft and low. Rest now, quiet one. Your body knows the way down, and it has never once needed you to steer. Let the science be the last thing that holds you and drift. Good night.